My trip to Guatemala is something I will never forget. I will always be able to see the kids' little smiling faces full of joy and happiness as they gladly showed us their school and everything they were working on. We were even lucky enough to visit some of those kids' houses. It was a whole different world. I never expected to see what we did. My heart was broken at the condition that these tiny children had to endure every day. Many of the people had no shoes, no bathrooms, and one-room tin huts. One family that we visited lived in a one-room house. There were 11 kids, a grandma, and parents that all slept together in one room. It was so hard for me to see their conditions, but even though it seemed as if all odds were against them, they were still so happy with everything they had. While in Guatemala, we went to 3 different schools. When we were in the classrooms, we noticed that they had a very low supply of pencils and notebooks. Something that surprised me was that the kids didn't even realize that they were writing with little pencil stubs. It's something that we take for granted so often in our society because we don't have to experience what they are having to go through every time they're in school. I was more than happy to give them new notebooks and pencils. They probably wouldn't have noticed if they didn't get new supplies, but they really needed them, and once they received them, they would be overjoyed. The kids love going to school because it is an escape from their lives at home. They love to learn and enjoy being with their friends and mentors in a safe place. This trip has truly given me a new perspective on how I view my own life, and I will forever cherish all of the memories that I went through. If everyone listening to this message would donate even $10 to $100, it would make the biggest difference to the kids' lives.
Guatemala was the most amazing experience I've ever had. Not only was it my first time ever visiting Guatemala, but it was the first time I had ever visited a third world country. Everything there was so eye-opening. Guatemala is a very beautiful country, but the poverty levels I saw right in front of me were heartbreaking. Everywhere we visited, whether by car or by foot, there were little children without any shoes on. There were stray dogs that were so skinny you could see their bones, and people young and old were carrying heavy loads on their backs and heads. The best and saddest part of the entire trip was our visit to Patasilla and Chiluk. We were able to visit the schools there during one of the school days. When we arrived at the school in Patasilla, we went from classroom to classroom saying hello to all the students and introducing ourselves. They were the cutest little kids I have ever seen. After that, the students all came out for recess and we brought them candy. As I got the bag ready to pass out, the kids saw it and swarmed. They were jumping, pulling on my shirt, and trying to rip the bag out of my hands. It just went to show how grateful they were for something as little as a piece of candy. They loved us instantly, and we loved them too. They drew us pictures and would just follow me around, holding my hand and hugging me, when they had only known me for about 15 minutes. Then we went to the school in Chiluk and said hello to those kids. The whole school came out front so we could take a photo of them under the school sign. They were so cute. The kids even sang us a song they had learned. This part of our trip was the most humbling experience I've ever had. The first house we visited was the worst. It was in the middle of some farmland. There were about 6 kids and one grandmother who was at home with them. There was one hut, which was the kitchen, and one other that was the bedroom. It was all mud floors and bugs were everywhere. The kids did not have any shoes, and it was obvious they were dirty and in need of nourishment. They all had to share one room and one bed. A couple of the children were sick and in need of care, but they had no way to acquire it. It was the most horrible and heartbreaking thing to see that people actually had to live like that. My visit to Guatemala is one that I will never forget. The things I saw and how the people there have to live will stay with me forever. I'm forever grateful for that experience and hope to be able to return one day. Donating as much as you can, whether that's $5 or $200, will help these kids and these families in Guatemala go a long, long way. So please donate if you can.